So today we're going to talk about just the simplicity of galleries and forms and how to use them. This is nothing fancy that we're going to see here. We're just going to look at how to create this quickly and easily. So if you've forgotten the core basics of how to navigate through forms and set yourself up so you can have multiple data sources in a form, for example, stay tuned. We're going to jump right to this step-by-step instruction on how to get this done. So the first thing I've started here is I've just started with a blank canvas, and I've done that through Power Apps, create a canvas, and just name it whatever you like. And then here I have a couple data structures. This one I actually downloaded from Microsoft. I can't remember what the name of it is, but all you need is ID, which is already given to you. It's a default. Title, which is a default. And then none of this other is really necessary for what we're doing here, because you can add stuff to this later, right? So, and then just add it to your app. But this is just a basic trying to get you through this. And then the other list that I've created is supplemental data, because we're going to show how we can copy over in another video, not in this video, in another video, how to copy over the reference IDs here that are the IDs here so that you can link these two lists together. But let's get started with the basics. And the basics are, how do we get this gallery set up and the form set up? Now I happen to have a gallery sitting here with a form here. Now usually you would have the form back here, so I wanted to keep it this way just so I could show you some differences. But we're going to go over some very key things that you have to remember to do when you're creating this. I promise you, if you remember these key things, this is going to be a lot easier for you. And of course, thanks to Reza and others that do videos on Power Apps that I've learned from over the years, this is a very standard practice. So what's the first thing we need to do? We need to create a gallery. So the first thing we want to do is create a gallery. And I've just thrown this together, so we'll rename some things along the way. But here, gallery core data. Remember, I've set up two data sets, supplemental data and core data. So here we're just going to have core data. And remember, we're going to click that primary field, which is here. And we're going to set this gallery up. So let's go ahead and look at where this gallery is going. First of all, when you look at items, notice here it says core data. Over here you can see it as well. And remember, you can add fields here, or you can just go here and do the this item dot whatever you want and add that information. I'm going to talk about this delete box here in just a minute. So that's kind of the simplistic area here. This is really easy. It's a gallery. Now remember, setting up a gallery here, you can adjust your wrap count. So I can go to 1, for example, and go longer lines. I can go to 2. So it's all really your preference. Let's go to 1. So that's how easy that is. Actually, I'm going to go back to 2 because we're going to add a record here in a minute. Okay, so that's pretty simple. Next thing we want to do, so notice here on this side, and pause the video if you need to, I've created a screen called SCR core data, SCR supplemental data, and SCR form add and edit. I like to label things as much as I remember, and I think I've not labeled a few things, maybe I have. But I like to label my gals with gal and form with FRM, just because it's easier when I'm doing things, because I forget easily. So that's what we need to do there. Now, when we create this form, we're going to be using a variable. And I set the variable here. Now, you can set this within your code as well. I just set it right out of the gate, right here in the app, under on start. I put in a variable. Oh, I'm sorry, that's not the variable we're talking about, but you do need to put this variable in there. That's for the pop-up screen. So the variable pop-up screen delete. And you'll see here, POPDelete. So I name, it's a variable, but I name it, the group, the same thing, POPDelete. So that just makes it easier for me to read when I'm trying to troubleshoot things. Let's go back here to this one. When I create this variable called varRecord, and this is important to remember, I'm creating this on the fly. Notice I didn't do it under my app screen. I'm just creating this on the fly, which is totally fine. Here, what I'm saying is I want to do this varRecord. And let's see, what's the big deal about the varRecord? Well, what I'm doing is I'm making this form, I guess, fluid. right? And it enables this form to be used with multiple data sources. And that's what the next video is going to actually be on, is how to hook up multiple data sources. But here, we just want to make sure that this form points to varRecord instead of being hard-coded like you normally would, which would be into one of your data sources. So we've created this variable called varRecord. And here it is right here. Now notice that I have the form. I'm on the form here. Notice I've reset this item to varRecord. So I need to make sure, and if you go here and search for item, you're going to see the same thing, varRecord. This is a critical component. This will not work without doing this. So make sure that you set that up. We'll go back to create here. So here we got the variable. We set it to blank. Now why? Because we want to make sure that when we go in, we're creating a record, we want it to be blank. We're going to see here in a minute how to edit, and that edit is not blank, but right now we're doing a blank. We reset the form. Now notice here, I'm resetting the form. I did two forms here as an example, but you can see this form right here, FORM core data _1, that's this form right here. So when we go up here, that's the form that we're resetting, and resetting means we're just taking all the data out of it. We're doing a new form. Okay, it's brand new, so we're going to give it new, and then we're going to navigate over to that screen, SCR, form, add, edit, and if you go down here, SCR, form, add, edit, and this is the name of the form on that. That's pretty simple, right? So remember, what we talked about here was we made sure that we set up the gallery, which is pretty easy. We're going to go over the pop-up at the end, but we set up the gallery, and then remember this form, the critical thing here is on your forms, make sure that you point them, the item, to varRecord. Okay, so we're good here. We're cooking here. We're creating a record. Now notice it says no item to display. The reason is because the varRecord is set to blank right now. And if we clicked on one of these and I had this set to go here, we'd see stuff. But I wanted to show this to you so you could see the reset in action. Okay, so in fact, why don't we go ahead? This is the first one, and this is, well, let's go, well, you can see the data. So you can click on it. Now you can see the data. Now let's create the record and see what happens. We go over to this next screen, and here we're just going to type in some information here, and we're going to hit submit. Remember, we can cancel and go out. Let's look and see what the properties are on this guy again. So in your head, what is the item supposed to be set to? Has to be set. Whoops, you got to select the form first of all. It has to be set to varRecord. So make sure you set it to the variable record, because that's what we're going to use in this kind of flexibility, this fluidness. Now notice here, I've got the data in there, but on success is something else you want to set. Again, I could do that over here. I could do it over here. Doesn't matter. On success, meaning that once it's been submitted, everything's good. The data went over to the list. I just want to go back to where I came from. I could put in a navigate screen here as well. I could say navigate back to this screen. But then I like to do things as fluid as possible. I don't have to go in and change a lot of code. It's easy. Just get it done. Okay, so here we just hit submit and it went back. And notice that it immediately showed up here. Okay, so we're going to hit no there. And so now we have that data. Of course, we can adjust that data, you know, make it bigger, you know, whatever we want to do, right? So we can't see all of it. So I'm going to extend it out here just a smidge. Alrighty. So, and then notice here, I can't get that one, right? So there, I'm just going to click on it over here in the tree view and I can move it. Okay. Pretty easy. Now, when we look at it, everything's there. If I want to edit it, notice there's nothing here again. Why? Because we cleared it, but here I can edit the form here. I just have it set to edit here. I could go back to that other form as well. So, and then I have a submit there. Okay, so we've gone over the create, and we've also gone over to here, to this area here for the add and edit, and we've gone to this form and we've said, make sure we're set to varRecord and make sure on success is set to back, and we're able to do to populate the form. So let's look at some of the other things that are inside of here. Remember, you have submit, which is submit the form. Now, remember, you got to think of these. Don't just copy this stuff and, oh, I can just copy what you're doing and it'll work for me. I'm trying to show you so that you can kind of figure this out for yourself. It's all very logical. So look, I'm in here. This is the form I'm playing with, right? Under this screen, form, add, edit, and I'm here, form, core data. And that's what we're submitting. So when they get done modifying this, we just want to submit it. So we just hit submit. That's easy. And then here, cancel is very simple. On select, of course, we go back. So that's pretty easy, right? So that screen's done. We don't even have to worry about that anymore. Let's go over here to the core data screen. Now, again, the submit is the same thing. We submit the form. Now, let's look at this again. Notice here that I said select parent. Do you notice that? Select parent means that I'm going to select the screen that I'm on, the parent screen that I'm on. I'm not navigating, I'm selecting the parent screen, and it's right here. But let's say that I want to navigate here. Instead, I want to use the other form over here on this screen. Okay, so I'm going to navigate, and then because it's a screen, I'm going to type in SCR, and it's going to give me my screens right there in front of me. So here, I want that screen, and then I'm going to hit close. Now, this form, if I go over to that screen, that's not the name of the form over on that screen. So if I keep this as is, it's going to fail. But if I say right there, _1, so I'm just going to change these to be _1, whoops, not -1, _1. You see it pop up there? And then we're going to change this one, _1. Why? Because we're navigating to this form, and this is the name of that form and the name of that screen. Okay? So now let's go ahead and check that out. We should not see the gallery anymore when we do this. So we're going to click on this, and there you go. We're not seeing the gallery anymore. If we hit cancel, we're going to go back. Let's hit this one, number 12. Go. Here you go. We're on that one. So I didn't put the ID number over there. I probably should have. But you can see it's all those Ds and things like that, right? And same thing with this one. So navigation is working perfect. It's exactly what we want, and it works great. The last thing I'm going to show you, so we've gone over all of the code on these things and the logic behind this. Remember, if you just go through and name your screens and name your forms and name your galleries, it makes a lot of sense. So just try to do that. I think you'll be a lot better off. Let's look at this delete button. So the delete button here is the last thing we're going to go over. But notice that I'm calling a variable called POPDelete. Now, if I didn't know anything about my code, I would just go in and say POPDelete. Where is that? So I could look for POPDelete if I wanted to, and there I would find it right there. Okay, so it's under the gallery data. So I know where that is. It's right here, POPDelete, and this is a collection. Notice here that there are 4 items inside of there. I didn't label all of these. I should have. This is no. This is yes. Well, let's just go ahead and look at this. To look at it, we're going to say true. Okay, and there it comes up. So how do you create these pop-ups? Again, very simple. Step 1, create the variable. Remember, var POPDelete. That's the name of the variable. Then I just, in this case, because it's a gallery, I went ahead and selected the gallery right here to the first field. I want to just work on this so it replicates, right? And then I just put a box in there. I could put graphics in there, delete. And then for yes, this is what I say. Select the parent, which means that I'm going to select the file that I'm on right now when I hit this delete. Remove from core data. I want to remove from that list this item. This item meaning whatever item I select here, it's going to remove. And then I want to reset the varPOPDelete to false. Remember, false means that it goes away. It's that simple. With no, I'm just setting it back to false again. So let's go ahead and see this in action. But before we do that, we're going to select on that one more time. Notice that all of the items are selected there. and I'm going to put back in varPOPDelete. Why? Because I want it to be false. I don't want it to be up there unless it's needed. So let's go ahead and see that in action. So if I click on this, I can go ahead and hit no, and it's just going to erase that pop-up for me. Okay. But if I hit yes, and as I hit delete up here, I could delete any one of these. Let's say I hit yes here. It's going to automatically delete that record. Okay. So that's as simple. Now, in this, I would not use text, because you got to be right over the text to make this bad boy work. I put small buttons in here, but I just kind of did this quick for this video. So that's it. That's really as simple as it is. Don't let it intimidate you or get you wound up here. We just have data that we're simply illustrating inside of this app using a form and using a gallery as our selection or menu to select what data we want inside of that form. It's really, really that simple.